Unfortunately, we've been in the ED department more than twice, in 2011 and 2012, due to my mother's illness. The one I really want to bring to your attention is the 1st of January 2012, where my mother had suffered a seizure at home, had come round again, but the paramedics who attended her said that they thought there was something more serious underlying and that it would be best for us to attend Antrim. When we arrived, it was just bedlam, is the only word I can use. There were people everywhere, there were trolleys everywhere, there were chairs everywhere, there were people sitting on the floor. My mother, who at that stage was 89 years of age, was on a gurney in the middle of a corridor where doctors and nurses were coming past. They spoke to us briefly. They were sending her to X-ray, and when she came back from X-ray, she suffered a further seizure. Now, a nurse did come over, seemed to identify what it was, and that was that. But then I can't tell you the time scale. My mother suffered a second seizure, which to me was much more serious. And at that time they did take her into resus, where they attended her. And then later that night she suffered what I can only, in my layman's terms, say had a massive coronary. Mm-hmm. It was very touch and go. And unfortunately, what they said afterwards was that my mother was away just a little too long, and that it left her damaged, her brain damaged in some way, where she did know us, or her family, but she didn't know anyone else. She remained in the care of cardiology for, I think, 5-6 weeks when she was discharged. Unfortunately, when we got home, a few weeks later, we discovered that she had contracted pneumonia again. Our GP tried to treat this at home, but on the 15th of March, it became very evident that my mother needed more medical care in the hospital. She was admitted to Antrim, and I sought out her cardiologist, who spoke to me on the corridor and said that protocol was that he could not just walk on to the A&E department. He had to be invited. But if I would say to the doctor admitting her to refer her to B3, where he had a bed waiting for her, I asked the doctor this, and he wouldn't do it. He sent my mother to an admissions ward B2, where she remained for 4 days, and we were asked on the 16th of March if we would consider a no resuscitation order. Well, my religious beliefs tell me that God makes that decision, not a doctor. I said I would speak with the family to get myself off the ward as quickly as possible. I went outside, phoned my 2 brothers and sister, and said to them, we need to put a 24-hour guard on Mummy. They're going to let her die. She remained in that ward for 4 days. When I spoke with her cardiologist again, he could see the distress I was in, and he arranged for my mother to be removed from the ward because she was not getting the care that she needed. I'm not getting at the nursing staff in Antrim. I met some of the most wonderful, caring, hard-working people that I could ever meet in my life, and in fact nobody could pay me enough money to do their job. This is not what I'm about. What I'm about is that after my mother died, there was a stage where they couldn't find her notes. So in a meeting that I had with 2 people from the health board, I had requested her notes, and I discovered that the doctor in the A&E had on one of the forms circled not for CPR, which I understand is cardiac. I'm not quite sure of the whole thing. I have been trying to query this for 2 years as to why a junior doctor took it upon himself to end my mother's life and not discuss it with me. I was the person living with her and caring for her. I loved her totally.
Okay.
I have never, ever been given that answer. All Antrim area seem to be able to do is say, oh, we're sorry you had a distressing time. There are other incidents, obviously, which are not related to this hearing that happened with my mother at Antrim Area Hospital. And that was the reason why I was so protective of her when she had to be admitted to the hospital. And again, I say I'm not getting at the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
They need all the help they can get. And really, that's my story. That's all I have to say, and thank you for listening.
Okay. I think I've picked up the 2 key issues here, and let me just make sure that I have. If I've got this right, the first one is really that because of whatever clinical protocols, and whether they still exist now or not, I don't know, but that the cardiologist who wanted to arrange for your mother to be transferred to P3, that would have been a cardiology's award that would...
Yes.
And instead, the junior doctor decided that your mother should be moved
on
to
admission,
P2, which was presumably a generalist ward and not a cardiologist.
It was an admissions ward, what they call an admissions
yes,
ward.
just a general admissions ward, yeah. And if I picked up the second key issue, is that when she was on the ward, the family were asked about the kind of do not resuscitate order, and therefore you had a say in what they did there, but that the junior doctor in A&E, nobody asked you about the issue of do not resuscitate or no CPR, and that was just put down on notes without any consultation with family members at all. Yeah. No, I'm clear about both of those things. So,
sorry, the other something I have forgotten. I'm just looking at my notes here. Was that while my mother was on that ward, we had the further distress of a lady dying on the ward, and her body stayed on the ward from just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock the next morning before it was removed. Antrim tried to tell me no, that was wrong, but I tell you, I was there because I was staying overnight. That should never have happened. I found that very, very distressing at the time.
Yeah. I've only got one question then, I think. In terms of the complaints process, and you've never received an answer, you said to kind of why this happened. In terms of going through the complaints process, what is it you're looking for as the outcome?
I wanted that doctor put in front of me and to tell me why he decided to end my mother's life.
And in the absence, I don't know whether that doctor is still in the
He's
Antrim area hospital.
He's not in the trust apparently anymore.
In the absence of that, what would give you, as best as can, closure in terms of what happened?
I received reassurances from the 2 staff members that that would never have happened, but in hindsight, that's very easy to say. I don't know. What if I hadn't been there? That doubt will be with me the rest of my life.
So if I've got this right, what you're looking for is some kind of very clear assurance that this won't happen again to anyone else.
Yeah, to anyone else. What about some wee old lady or gentleman who is admitted and has nobody to speak for them?
Yeah.
That's what I aim for.
Yeah, okay. And you don't feel you've got that as a result of the
no,
process
I
you've been through?
I don't. And I do feel that the trust, even though the doctor had left the trust, at least owed me that much respect to have brought him quietly. All I wanted him to tell me was, I decided this because I don't think I was asking for too much.
Okay. No, that's fine. Marion?
Claire, I just have one question for you. You have a fair amount of experience at the Antrim Area Hospital because your mum was in and out different wards. Could you tell me something how the admission wards works, or as opposed to any of the other wards your mum's went
It's a very busy ward. particularly that the last one, she was in B2. It's a very busy ward. I understand that the staff are pressurised. There were times when my mother wasn't given her medication that she took it for many years.
Mm-hmm.
There was one night it was nearly 11 o'clock before she got her 6 o'clock medication. Now I understand they're understaffed and that they do need more staff.
Mm-hmm.
But once she was in, I suppose, a settled ward, if you want to put it that way, the nursing is totally different.
I just want to clarify this. Is the admission ward the ward that people go to when they're going to be admitted from A&E but haven't got their real ward yet?
That's what I understand it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't have any questions, but thank you very much indeed, Claire.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anything you want to say finally to us that you think you haven't covered?
No, just obviously get more staff into area hospital.
Can I say how much we appreciate both the clarity with which you presented what had happened to your mother and for you to come in today? It's not easy to give kind of evidence in this kind of public way, so we're very appreciative, and this is really, really important stuff for us in terms of our inquiry, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.